Wow. I mean, this is just crazy what's happening in the market. This is one of those times where, you hear commentators talk about the stock market and they do everything they can to not get into politics because, you want to talk about everything except for religion and politics. And I am like that by nature. I I generally do not like to get openly into discussions about this stuff. Not in an open forum for sure, but the last few months, it's really the last couple of years, but I'm doing it more and more because you can't separate finance, the world of money, stock market, retirement. You really can't separate these out anymore without talking about politics. And I watch other commentators, podcasters, TV, whatever, what have you, and people talk about things and they completely leave out politics, like it doesn't even exist. And I'm like, are you a real person? Do you not know that this exists? Because it's inescapable because of what's happening now with Trump and Musk. And none of us have ever seen anything like this. This is all new charted territory. And yes, we've seen uncharted territory things a lot, like the last 25 years. But this is it's like sad, horrendous, nerve wracking, and yet it's comical, and you can't take your eyes off of it. Like driving by a car crash, it's like you can't not look at the instability in the personalities of these two men. And they just go right for the jugular. They just get nasty in the mud. And Musk is not even a politician anymore. He we're going to talk about all of these things, how it comes back to the market, and some other really important news that you need to know, which I think is, being blocked out by the Trump-Musk controversy. If we could call it a controversy, I don't think that's strong enough of a word. I think maybe you should call it just the crazy shit show that's going on in the world. This is just takes the cake. I've never seen anything like this, and we're going to talk about it. But I want to just give you the key things you need to focus on instead of going on a rant about politics. But this is inescapable. This is tough on everybody. It's tough everyone. This is certainly not a good look for the MAGA wing. It's not good for the Republican Party, but it's not good for Democrats either, because this is not good for the economy. This is creating such uncertainty and making the United States look so unstable right now that it's hard to even come out. Like I can be very sarcastic if you don't know that by now. It's hard to come out with like a sarcastic phrase to describe what's happening. So, I'll just roll the intro and I'm going to break things down because it's not just the Musk Trump thing. We have the employment figures tomorrow. Companies are announcing layoffs. Lululemon, which is like the ultimate, consumer discretionary stock, is tanking aftermarket trading. I guess you could say Lululemon has developed a crack in its armor. That was so bad. Okay, I'll roll the introduction now. Here we go. All right, after I said Lululemon developed a crack in its armor, then I should have done this.
That's what she said.
So bad. But on a day like today, if you don't have a little humor, then what are we going to do? Just, take out the tissue box and cry all night? I mean, we have to get through this, all right? We have goals, my clients full well expect to retire in the time that they want, when they want, where they want, and they're not changing that. And they're not going to look at me and say, well, Mitch, things blew up, but it's not your fault. You didn't guide me. I have to guide you through it. And by golly gee willikers, I'm gonna freaking guide you. Do my sound effects still work? I don't know if they still work or not. All right, I was hitting my soundboard to see if they still did anything. All right, we'll fix that. So let's just talk about this real quick, okay? Musk and Trump. Now Musk was all dark MAGA. He had that black on black, make America great again hat, the chainsaw, all this stuff, and the Doge, and he's going to cut $2 trillion in government spending, and he injected himself in cabinet meetings where he was did not have a cabinet position. He sat in at the White House Oval Office desk, brought his kid to work there all the time. I mean, he really made himself at home. Traveled with the president, Air Force One, like two buddies. Truly a private citizen, becoming the most prominent, powerful private citizen in the world. And people were calling Musk President Trump's co-president. Some people didn't take kindly to that, but that's just what was going on in the media. Whether if you want to take it that far or not, but I'm giving you the little history that you surely have not yet forgotten. None of us have forgotten that Musk was super involved in the White House and shaping the presidency. And he gave something like, I don't know, something like 200 some odd $million to help get Trump elected and other Republican politicians, which, in my view, I think it's really upsetting and not a morally good thing when one person could inject hundreds of billions of dollars into an election to shape the election. That is not cool. That is truly, I don't know how that can happen, but I think we all agree, and my friend Robert, if you're listening to this, I think we could all agree that we've got to get this big money, dark pool money, whatever you call it, the rule that allows people to contribute to PACs, super PACs, unlimited, as much as they want. It's not a good thing, and how one person could inject over $200 billion into an election. I could give you all the reasons why it's not fair. I mean, if you want a certain candidate to win, you might think it's fair, but I think you're starting to see now, regardless of where you stand on the political spectrum, that this is ending up very badly. Okay, with Trump and Musk, and how it's crazy that he was able to put so much money into one election. It's just, nobody else can do that. All right, so let's. I'm going to say 200. I'm talking 200 million. Did I say billion by accident? I meant 200 million. Okay. Musk is not worth $200 billion. I don't think he is. And after today, he's definitely worth a lot less, because Tesla's stock went down a huge amount. The company lost like almost $160 billion in valuation today. So what the hell happened? A week ago, Musk got a wonderful send-off from President Trump, all congratulatory, backslaps, and guy talk and all these great things, and how wonderful Musk did and how valued of an asset he is to the country. This is Trump heaping on praise. A couple of days later, you know how important President Trump's big beautiful bill is. That's actually the name of it. It's like 11 or 12 giant bills rolled into one to become law. But Musk comes out and says, and just blindsided the White House, and says it's an abomination. It's disgusting. It's a horrible bill. And anyone who votes for it, meaning Republicans, because they're the only ones who are voting for it, he's going to put huge money behind primary challenges. And now they all better get ready to lose their job, because he is not liking this bill. And then Trump comes at him and says, oh, yeah, well, I think that's terrible. He knew about this, and it was all because we took away incentives, tax incentives to buy EVs. And then Musk says, if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't have been elected, and you wouldn't have Republican control of the House and the Senate. And I think we need a new political party. I mean, this is pretty harsh. So Trump says, I'm going to save money and just take away all of Musk's contract for SpaceX and anything else he does with U.S. government. I'm just going to eliminate the contracts. Of course, he can't really. The space station wouldn't be able to be serviced, and a lot of other problems could happen. Not like you could rely on NASA now to launch rockets, to launch satellites into space because Doge fired everybody in NASA. So it's just like such a bad situation that we're in. And these two are just escalating it and escalating it. And Trump said, I used to like him, but we used to be friends, but I don't think we could be friends anymore. This is, beyond repair. Michael says, told you so. Told you so. Trump is the Epstein files, pedo. Oh yeah. So Musk really goes for the dirt and says, well, Trump was involved with Epstein in that scandal, and they haven't released all the documents, and Trump is hiding it. Trump has to deny any involvement with Epstein and his things going on his island with abusing minors and children and all these horrible things going on. I mean, this is how bad it's gotten. That one day Musk is following Trump around and his circle and his biggest benefactor. And now he's saying, oh, Trump was involved with Epstein and all the files haven't been released yet. And when they are, you're going to find out a lot of dirt. Like, I want to say to Musk, well, why did you get involved with him in the first place if you thought he was such a bad guy? Musk sure seemed like he was enjoying himself, didn't he? He seemed like he was pretty happy in this whole thing. So this deterioration in their relationship is stunning. I mean, it's just mind-boggling. But Musk is now a private citizen. You saw the New York Times article about him and ketamine and the drugs he's been on, and you did see him smoke weed on the Joe Rogan show. You can't deny it. He lit up a fat doobie and took some massive hits with that. So the king of ketamine, and but he's a free citizen now. He could do what he wants. It's his money. It's his mouthpiece. But Trump is still a politician. He's the president, and he is reacting to Musk like Musk is actually goading him, and Trump's letting it happen. Like Trump's not putting up his tough guy attitude and saying, "Whatever, we're moving on." He is actually being goaded into the pig pen with Musk, which it's not a good look for the country. It just makes us look very unstable. So when the market came down today, this was why. The main reason is because, one of the biggest companies in the world, and certainly in America, Tesla, the stock tanked and brought a lot of other stocks in the market down with it. I mean, Microsoft hit a record high today. Nobody's talking about that because it's, who the hell cares about Microsoft? There's such a juicy story like Trump versus Musk. But so this is why, it's bringing down the market and it affects us. So this is where politics meets the market, where it meets the economy. I didn't think it would happen in the way it did. And I could see, tariffs causing inflation, which is how politics impact the economy, which impacts the stock market. But this is just this kind of mudslinging, and I'm taking away all his contracts. And this guy would have lost the election if it wasn't for me. And he's involved with Epstein. I mean, this is just like low blow shit, man. Like, I can't believe what we are witnessing with the two biggest mouthpieces in the world. And, don't forget, Elon Musk owns Twitter, which gives him the, ability to amplify his voice. And everyone covers Trump. So when he says anything, it's newsworthy. It's headlines. It's Truth Social. So these are two people who no one's had a bigger megaphone than these two people in the history of mankind. They have it at the same time, and they're just shredding each other. And it's just a bad look for everybody. I think it's a bad look for Musk too, but he's a private citizen. It's not cool that the president is actually is doing this. Wow. So let's take a look at some of the headlines, okay? I'm hoping this will. Let me see if I can share my screen another way, okay? Let's see. settings, present. Now I have to share my screen. I'll go back to that. Present. Okay. Share a screen. Share a screen. All right, here it is. Oh, I figured it out without having to use my equipment. I'm doing this with software. All right, but if you look at this, like President Donald Trump calls Musk crazy. He says the easiest way to save money in the budget is to terminate Elon's government subsidies and contracts. They're not subsidies; they're contracts. Surprised Biden didn't do it. So Musk says, "Go ahead and make my day. I'll decommission things right away." And it says this would both end the International Space Station and simultaneously provide no way to safely orbit it or deorbit it. In light of the president's statement about canceling my government contract, SpaceX will begin decommissioning its Dragon spacecraft immediately. I mean, there's more like low blow stuff in here. Then Musk says, without me, Trump would have lost the election. Dems would control the House, and the Republicans would be 51-49 in the Senate. I mean, this is in the world of politics. This is pretty nasty stuff. All right, the truth will come out about the Epstein files. Like, this is just low blow shit, man. I mean, I can't believe it. Lululemon, the stock tanked. Okay, down 22%. Lululemon has been a stock. Is it showing the other stuff now? All right, let me get out of that. Let me stop sharing screen. Lululemon stock, pop myself up here, is down 22% after market trading, after being down over 1%. Oh, this is Lululemon. It's a big loss. So between the regular market trading and aftermarket trading, it's down about $80, which is about 25%. That's a huge move. And they cite expenses and tariffs, and things are starting to hit them. Yesterday, one of the things we talked about was how we're not seeing the effects yet of the tariffs on the market yet. And we're just not seeing things yet. But we are seeing it today. I'm hearing from clients about their businesses is slowing down, or they're seeing less business, less imports. They're doing, one client, he owns delis. He does extremely well. And he's like, you have no idea how much the costs are for these things. So inflation is still going up. And his customers are, getting lunch and breakfast at home. They're bringing in the lunch. They're not going out. Little stories like this are happening. All right. So Musk blasts Trump without me, Trump would have lost. Lululemon. Okay. The other thing we have to talk about is the employment numbers tomorrow. All right. The employment figures are coming out tomorrow. Here's the deal. So the expectation is that employment will show a gain of 125,000 jobs created, initial tally. All right. Down from 177,000 jobs created last month. But if we see anything much less than 125,000, it's basically a confirmation that businesses have not only frozen hiring, they're laying people off. And I just read before, there's a whole list of companies that are doing layoffs and raising prices and doing all these things that President Trump was hoping they wouldn't do. But they have to do what they have to do to survive. You can't tell a business to go out of business because it suits his tariff battle. The next thing to talk about is Trump and Xi supposedly spoke. Now, did they speak? The news out is that they spoke, but nothing came of it. Xi of China doesn't trust Trump. Trump wants a quick deal and says a lot of nasty things and disallows Chinese students to come. He's doing a lot of things to really not create goodwill in negotiating with China. And China's saying, you know what? We have other places to sell. The U.S. economy is not nearly as big a part of our export markets as it was 20 years ago. Like, this is not the 1990s anymore. Um, but, you know, uh, Xi also feels that he could wait. We have an election coming up in less than a year and a half. And he also will see what the court system does, and maybe the Supreme Court will back up the Court of International Trade that said the tariffs are illegal, and the money collected from the tariffs actually has to be returned to the countries that we collected from. So there's no reason for President Xi of China to make any kind of deal with the U.S. until he sees what the courts have to say. And once he sees what the courts have to say, he could be in a very strong negotiating position. He could be in a weak negotiating position. But President Xi, he could slow walk this and be very patient. He doesn't have to worry about an election. He doesn't have to worry about an uprising at this time. But Trump does have an election, and there are cracks in the Republican base. A number of senators are including what's the guy from Missouri? I hate when that happens. Raleigh, what the hell? You know what I'm talking about. Hawley, thank you. And Rand, Senator Paul from Kentucky. Okay, they are not on board either, and neither is Johnson. So there's 3 senators right there who are not on board with this big, beautiful bill that Trump wants to push through. And that affects the entire economy. It affects everything we do, from how cars are purchased, electric cars, healthcare in this country, which is a huge industry, defense, which is a huge industry, entitlements. There's so much going on and so many balls in the air. And yet the administration is trying to come up with trade agreements with like 99 countries or 90 countries in 90 days, of which nothing's coming out. So we've had a pretty good climb from the bottom of April. It's tough to imagine with all of this going on that the market's going to start to crave stability. And right now, like, stability just left the station with the way President Trump is reacting to Musk. Again, Musk is a private citizen. He could do what he wants. But I think when you're the president, you have to be more measured. Trump is going to try to tough guy his way out of this fight. Musk is in a tough place because his cars are purchased by, people who love the environment, people who wanted electric cars, people who were against fossil fuels. And then his cars became important to the right and the Cybertruck, and Musk is part of MAGA. He's dark MAGA. He represented MAGA. He was like the key MAGA guy. And now he's had a falling out with Trump. So now the MAGA, the right side, is not going to buy his cars, right? So he's probably in the worst position of the two. Trump isn't going anywhere. He'll just, as a matter of fact, Musk said maybe he should get impeached and J.D. Vance will become president. I mean, again, these are tough things, especially from a guy that helped get you elected with putting more money to a campaign than anyone else in history. And now he's going against it. So this is what's happening with the market. And it's really tough to see how we're going to get out of this. And that's why the market went down today, because it's just become so crazy unstable. Now, if we get a very weak employment tomorrow, we could see the Fed come into play. Keep in mind that the European Central Bank cut rates this morning because their inflation targets are where they need to be. We will see what happens with that. So I want to just show you one more article, and I think it's important to show you. Pop myself up here. Corporate layoffs have ramped up in recent weeks. Here are the companies making the cuts. You can read this yourself, but while I have you here, it's really tough to talk about all this in just a couple of minutes. But in this article, are companies that are cutting people. You can read it yourself. I actually just saw the headline, but Procter & Gamble, okay, they're cutting 7,000 jobs. Microsoft is going to cut jobs. Citigroup is going to cut jobs. Walmart is going to cut jobs. Klarna is cutting jobs. CrowdStrike is cutting jobs. Disney said this week it plans to cut several hundred employees. Chegg will cut 22% of its workforce. But there's another one. Another one of these big consumer products. Not Colgate. One of the other big consumer products companies said they're selling overseas assets. That one of them that makes tissue. Kimberly-Clark. They're selling a business that makes tissue paper overseas because it's just become so expensive to manufacture overseas and bring it here that they just sold the asset. So it's less international business for an American company. These are the things that are going on, and it's just we'll see what happens tomorrow. Hopefully, best case scenario, Trump and Musk stop hurling insults. I don't think they're the type to become. I don't think they're the type who will become level-headed immediately. President Xi is in the position of China to slow walk this because he knows Trump needs a good deal. The longer this goes on, the more it hurts him and his party in the United States. The more it goes on in China just means the longer it goes on. But, the leadership in China is not going anywhere, anyway, not at this time. Maybe Lululemon will say, you know what, we made a mistake in our numbers. They were pretty good, and they'll come back. And maybe we'll get a decent employment report tomorrow. And on June 11th next week, we have inflation figures coming out. So I've been saying that's a big number on June 11th, next Wednesday. So we have so much going on that, to me, after the market took a big rally, it needed something to hold on to get the market to go up even more, to validate the rally and something to climb on. And I, for the life of me, am wondering how the sudden burst of instability and uncertainty, I'm wondering how the market could just leap over that. And I know the market climbs a wall of worry, and I'm not a pessimist. We'll get through this, but all of us are going to be tested again, I think, in the markets and in the economy. And look out. Like I always say, I'm not really concerned about the stock market. I'm more concerned about the economy because that's where the real pain is felt. All right. Wow, this is a long one. Thank you so much for watching. And if you have any questions, reach out to me in the comments, send me a DM, call me. You're welcome to give me a call. I'd love to hear from you, and we'll talk. All right. Thanks so much. Bye.